Welcome. We are here with 2001 Manor Cove graduate Robert Campbell, who now is the author of the book Legends of the Cove Witch. How are you doing today?
Doing just fine. How are you?
Good. What was your life like during your time here at Manor Cove High School?
It was a lot different than now. As a teenager, I played a lot of sports, so I was a jock. Okay. I hung out with the jocks. I think for the most part I was quiet. I kept to myself. But I hung out with like maybe 5 or 6 friends, and that was it.
That was it. Well,
yeah.
What or who influenced you to be a writer?
2 key figures would be R.L. Stine. When I first started reading, the first book I ever read was it was from the Goosebumps series, Welcome to the Dead House, and I just got hooked. And we were all passing our Goosebump books around elementary school at that time period. And when I got older, I started reading more adult books. When I was 16, I read Anne Rice, The Vampire Chronicles, and then I got into Stephen King. And Stephen King has really been a big influence on my writing. 2 of his books that helped me out was Stephen King's On Writing, a book that he wrote about his writing process. And then he wrote another one, it's called Danse Macabre. And he published that in 1981. And it's a book on like his horror influences when he was growing up in the 50s and the 60s. And there's actually another version of Danse Macabre that comes with a lecture in it, if you're lucky enough to afford one. So, and I would say those 2 books there that he put out have really helped me in my process.
What are some of the greatest challenges you have faced when you're writing a book?
When I first started, I was trying to do everything from memory. And then I took what's called Masterclass online. I took the James Patterson Masterclass, and then a couple of years later, I took the R.L. Stine class for young adults and kids. And I think I took a lot more from the R.L. Stine class because my target audience is young adults, and I write for kids too. Besides The Legend of the Cove Witch, I have another book called Face Your Fears, and it's an anthology series titled Frightmares. And they're short books between 80 to 120 pages, and I just tell people if you like Goosebumps, it's the same thing.
Can you explain the process a little bit you went through to get your book published?
I'm self-published on Amazon, so I had to figure out what size book I wanted, so I chose a 6x9, and then I had to format my book according to Amazon standards. And then after that, I paid a cover artist to do the cover for me and told him what I wanted, and he captured it perfectly. And so you have to go onto Amazon when you self-publish, and you have to fit it's called a JPEG, and you have to upload it, and Amazon will tell you within like 2 or 3 hours if your book meets their qualifications that they want for it to be published. It can be a bit of a headache sometimes.
What advice would you give to your younger self about your writing now?
I don't know that when I was in school that I knew I wanted to write. But if I did, I would just go back, hey, you're going to be a writer, so take your English class a little bit more serious.
Is there one thing you could do differently in your writing? Is there anything you would change?
No. With this book, I wrote 3 rough drafts. That's why it took 5 years.
Wow.
The first rough draft, it was barely 120 pages, and it was intentionally short because this was going to be a 2-book series. It was going to be The Legend of the Cove Witch, and then the second title was going to be called The Curse of the Cove Witch. And I was not happy with an ending, so I wrote a second rough draft. Wasn't happy with that one, so I took the bits and pieces that I liked from the first 2 rough drafts, combined them, and then just filled in the blanks in between, and I came up with an ending I think that would satisfy most readers, because I do read. I'm an aggressive reader. I can read 30 to 40 books a year, maybe more.
That's a lot.
Yes.
That's quite a few.
I don't watch a lot of TV at all. I don't play video games, any of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a few books.
So I sit down in my free time and I read, and as a writer, you learn how other writers write. You get the feeling of their voice, and There's some that really that challenge my English. There's words that they use that I've never heard of, and I do it old school. I write the word down like in a notebook, and then I just look it up in a dictionary. I don't just sit and Google it. Yeah.
So you'd rather look them up in a dictionary than Google them?
It's just my study habits. Because in high school, we didn't have Google like y'all do. We referenced everything through books.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do that.
The internet was a very new thing when I was in high school. Like, it was invented in 94. We just started using it in 95. I took a typing class in 7th grade here in high school. It was actually at the end of the hall over this way. And I knew that computers one day would be a really big thing. I actually, when I look back at my younger self, what y'all got going now, I saw it coming.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time today, sir.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.